You're listening to Real Crime, the Movie Sleuth podcast.
Wieners out.
Yes.
I hereby declare this to be an all-wiener show for the Real Crime podcast.
It is all wieners all
Dicks
night
out
long.
for Real Crime.
We discuss theater on this show. Well, at least theater on film. Chris is running around the studio right now. He's shaking it for us.
As usual.
And this is just, it's three men talking about manly things tonight.
3 men and a baby.
So this is going to be a very masculine show. It's going to be great. Real Crime, episode number 71. And we're all filled with a little bit of piss and vinegar tonight. I just got done with a full-on 10-minute rant to these two poor gentlemen. I'm saying gentlemen as Andrew's just burping into the mic. But we're getting a fun show. However, before we get to all that good stuff, smothered in onions.
Yes.
Chris, it was cold out this week.
It was kind of frigid.
It was cold out today.
It's very cold in the D.
I had to fight the abominable snowman this week.
To get news.
What
do we have this week, Chris?
Well, first off, again, we got to mention our sponsors, the Flint Institute of Arts. Check out their weekly film series, flintinstituteofarts.org.
And
also,
when are we going to get up there?
I don't know.
We've been working on
Me
it.
and Andrew are actually planning on making a trip up there pretty soon.
I want to go up there
Yeah.
because, this is fantastic. We have to go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Make sure you check out projectorscreen.com.
Outstanding.
And also check out our contest on themoviesleuth.com. We're giving away 5 horror movies from Wild Eye Releasing.
Oh, my God. And
it out.
you're nuts. You're nuts if you don't take part in this.
Why not take free shit when you can get free shit?
It's free shit.
Yes, sir.
Everybody get involved.
Beggars can't be choosers.
Everybody. You all need to get involved here.
Everybody.
The news.
And this week in news, Snowpiercer was being adapted to TV by TNT, and it's officially lost its showrunner. They had a pilot in production already, so we're not sure what's going to happen with the show now. Yeah, I don't really know how you're going to turn Snowpiercer into a series because, everything they really had to tell would fit into a 2-hour
movie
movie.
Itself is kind of overblown, though. It seemed like they were really cramming as much as they could into that movie. The TV series maybe leave more breathing room.
Maybe
they should have started with that.
Yeah. Star Wars The Last Jedi just crossed $600 million domestically. It actually slipped to number 8 at the domestic box office this weekend. So they're actually estimating now that it's not going to make $1.6 billion, that it'll be closer to 1.3 or 1.4.
Where's the fucking roof on this thing?
Which will still make it the 5th or 6th highest grossing movie of all time. Total flop.
With adjusted inflation.
Yeah.
I don't know, compared to some of the ones that came before. But that's open to debate. No need to open that can of worms right now.
The Anne Hathaway Barbie movie has been moved to 2020. I shed many tears over
There's
that.
an Anne Hathaway Barbie movie.
Yeah.
Maybe by 2020.
You actually said that out loud just now.
Maybe
Yes, I
by
did.
2020 they'll push it to 2030.
Mm-hmm. Who knows?
Whatever the fuck that is.
Whatever floats your boat, I guess.
Yeah.
The Maze Runner, The Death Cure movie that's opening this weekend, they're estimating it will have a $20 million opening, which I guess is quite a bit more than the other ones. So I actually saw this last week. It's really good, actually. A little predictable, of course, because it's teenage dystopian bullshit.
Young
but
adult. They're still doing those? There's still interest in those movies?
Just this one, for some reason. People are interested in this.
Because the Divergent series really took a nosedive with the audiences, didn't it?
Yeah. Well, they just stopped making them.
Yeah.
They just stopped making them. So, last but not least, MGM is working on a new RoboCop movie that is going to be
totally disconnected.
No, this is going to be totally connected.
What did I read?
They have hired on a writer from the original RoboCop movies, and he is writing a film that is going to be set in the universe from the original movies that will be a direct sequel to the original RoboCop.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Oh, it's going to ignore 2 and 3, right?
I think it's just going to ignore anything after 2.
Maybe I got dyslexic. I must have read the same article, but I went dyslexic. I thought it was something totally disconnected from the original universe.
No.
Holy crap.
Yeah, they want it to be connected to the original RoboCop.
I don't know how to feel about this.
I'm lukewarm to the idea just because Paul Verhoeven's personality was such a big factor in the original film being what it was.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole Ed 209 introduction, the way it derails the movie, you think it's going to be just a straight thriller, and then it very briefly turns into a farce before going back to being a science fiction film again. That's pure Paul Verhoeven, the scene where Ed 209 comes in and just shoots the guy dead.
It's awesome. I actually watched the movie again last night, and it's really good. It's really good for the time when it came out.
Yeah.
Oh, it's freaking great.
And it's brutal. The action is great. The story is good. But the funny thing is, I'm watching RoboCop last night based on this news that we reported. And I'm watching this movie. I'm like, God damn, this movie seems really, really familiar. And I'm like, what is this plot the exact same as? And I thought of it. The Crow. RoboCop and The Crow are literally the exact same movie. Man dies, killed by this vicious gang, killed brutally, somehow is brought back to life, and then he goes around systematically killing each of those gang members that killed him. And of course, somebody in each movie says almost the exact same line. I killed you. You're dead. It's like, I was like, holy shit. These are the exact same movie. And then he has to go to, an abandoned warehouse or like the church in The Crow to kill off whatever is left of the rest of the bad guys.
Well, Paul Verhoeven even said that it was meant to be a Christ allegory. The idea he's, murdered and then he's resurrected. But there's all these other subtle images that are scattered throughout, like all the children coming up to touch him when he says stay out of trouble, when all the cops are shooting at him and he's lurched over in this position where he's kneeling on one leg and he's got his arm in the air. It's like he's carrying a cross. And then even later when Clarence Boddicker has his showdown with him, he's literally walking on water in the last sequence. So
still one of the most disturbing scenes I've ever seen in a film is the whole toxic waste thing. When the guy comes out of the toxic waste. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That is probably one of the most disturbing things I've ever seen, honestly, in film. I mean, it's a small cut. Just one of those little things you see. And that's one of those things, we've talked about that in the past here on the show. Some of those little impressions you get that are permanently burned into your brain. That's one of them from RoboCop. It's just the whole toxic waste thing.
Well, what's funny is there's 3 really brutal scenes in that movie that if you tried to make that now, there's a very good chance they wouldn't make it to the theatrical cut.
Well,
the killing of Murphy in the beginning, I mean, when they shoot his hand off, it's hyper realistic the way that looks.
Yeah.
And his entire death scene is just completely brutal. The toxic waste scene, and his friend, his good friend is like, get away from me.
Well, that whole
get away from me.
The whole Ed 209 shootout sequence and Murphy's death, those were originally trimmed to avoid an X rating, but now the only way you can get it on Blu-ray is the X-rated cut. Like the shot where you see his arm flying off of his socket, that's in the X-rated cut. The R-rated cut, they do a close-up of him screaming, and then they do a wide cut, a wide-angle shot, and you see his arm's already gone.
Yeah. It's a good movie. And RoboCop 2 is actually really good, too.
From the director of Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah. And RoboCop 3, though, that's when it starts to... Because that was the one that Peter Weller did not come back for. And they had a different guy play him. Yeah. And then RoboCop could fly. Like, shit just started to get stupid. So, in new releases this week, The Death Cure, as we've already mentioned. Hostiles finally comes out, gets expanded release, which that is a great movie that I would suggest any fan of Westerns see that movie.
I'm in.
And then Kickboxer Retaliation comes out.
Ooh.
I'm sure we'll be reviewing that, and they will be all over it.
Is that going to theaters or straight to video?
I think it's a limited release and straight to video.
Because it seems like it's straight to video fodder.
Yeah, for sure. The last one was too. But man, that PR company, when we posted our review, they were all over it. It was crazy. Yes. Okay. So suggested viewings for this week.
What do you got, Chris?
Well, I watched this little movie that I reviewed over the weekend. It's called Adrenochrome.
Okay.
And basically, it's almost like a trauma movie. It's directed by this guy, Trevor Sims, who also acts in the movie. Mm-hmm. The acting is pretty bad throughout the entire thing. But it's basically about Venice Beach. There is a cult living there, kind of like a Charles Manson type cult, but it's modern day. And they are murdering people to steal their adrenal gland and use it to get high. The movie is really dumb, but it's filmed really cool. It's done on a very minuscule budget. Mm-hmm. The visual effects are great in this movie, though.
And this is a cult?
It's about a cult.
Because that's a to go fly into the weeds briefly. There's an actual theory I've heard on some of what they say alien visitation that we supposedly have on this planet. That's one of the things. There's one race of aliens that literally abduct people. When we hear about alien abduction, they abduct us for our adrenal glands because it's like cocaine to them. They get high as hell off of it, dude.
Sounds like good to me.
Yeah. just we're gonna throw that horse shit into this fucking mix. But
there's a lot of nudity in this movie too.
Oh, I'm sold.
No complaints.
What's that?
No complaints.
No complaints. Lots of boobies. Lots of naked boobies. So it's just a fun movie. If you're into like trauma type cult stuff, this is a movie to check out. Total B movie. It's on Amazon streaming. I tried watching it on Vimeo. I couldn't get it to stream on Vimeo for some reason. It kept buffering for me, so I ended up spending the $7 to download it on Amazon.
That's cool.
It was worth it though. I support it. So
outstanding.
Andrew.
I'm gonna recommend the Super Inframan. It's this Shaw Brothers movie from, I believe, 1975, and it's sort of like their carbon copy of Ultraman, and basically guys in rubber costumes, rock'em sock'em sort of action movie. It's pretty cheesy, but it's a lot of fun. Very tongue in cheek. It's on Amazon Prime in HD. They use the same HD master that was put on the Blu-ray, and it's one of the funniest movies I've seen in quite some time. Definitely recommend that.
Cool. I know this is a little bit dated now, but I finally went out and me and the better half went out and saw The Shape of Water last night. We didn't really give that movie a lot of time here. Have we talked about that movie? I don't think we did.
We haven't dedicated much time to it at all.
And we're not going to do it now. But we went and saw that.
Best Picture.
Yeah, we went and saw that last night, and Guillermo del Toro delivers again. The guy just never misses. The guy's incredible. I love his films. And this movie, I know you haven't seen it yet, Andrew, so I'm not going to delve into it. But this movie, I left the theater. This is just my thing. I left the theater after that, and the movie literally got under my skin, but not in a negative way. You'll get it when you see it, I think. I know you'll see it, Andrew. But it really did. There's impressions from that, like we just mentioned a minute ago, where I can't get them out of my head. You know what I mean? They're just kind of sticking with me right now. But fantastic movie. I'm glad I've been trying to get to the theater and see it, and we finally got some time here to sit down and see it.
Some of the ideas behind it are a little bit disturbing, though.
Oh,
I can't really. I don't want to, because a lot of people haven't seen it yet.
Hence, Under the Skin.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yep.
So, and that's let's just leave it at that. Andrew, check it out. We'll talk shop on that later.
Definitely. Anybody else here seen Paul Thomas Anderson's new movie yet? Phantom Thread?
I have not.
That is next on my list to put time into.
It's up there. It's
I gotta see
pretty close to perfect.
PTA and Daniel Day-Lewis again. I mean, you can't lose. I should have been there. I should have been there opening night, but
Yeah, Daniel Day-Lewis is fantastic in it. Paul Thomas Anderson shot the movie himself too. This is his first movie where he didn't work with a cinematographer. He did every single technical aspect of the making of this film, and for a first-time cinematographer, he does some pretty exciting visual work in this film. And the production design, the music, just everything about it, it's kind of a miraculous movie.
I can see that, though. I mean, the man, he's directed so many fabulous movies. Yeah. You got to imagine that he would have the eye for cinematography, too.
I trust him.
Yeah.
I'd totally trust him. Just a side note, we talked about this last week off the air, and I immediately came home and ordered it, and I did get my vinyl copy finally of the Interstellar soundtrack. I've been meaning to get that, and I'm such an idiot. I should have brought it with me this week to show it to you guys.
Yeah.
But I have that, and it's just another one of those things, a matter of getting some time to sit down and I've already heard it, obviously, but just really sit down in my listening room and listen to the vinyl copy of this. And on top of that, to add insult to injury, my better half, she's a classically trained pianist, and guess what she's learning how to play right now, which I heard a part of it tonight. I'm sitting there at the kitchen table, and she's on the piano, and she starts playing one of the movements of that. And I mean, that soundtrack still, to me, it's just goddamn gripping.
What is it called? No Time for Caution. That's my favorite track on the album.
Oh my God,
the docking scene.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's so intense.
Yeah.
But that whole that I got to look at the titles again. But dun 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 dun, that whole move, and that's
do
what
not
Amber was
try to dock. I repeat, do not dock.
But yeah. But Amber started playing that, and I just felt it again. When I heard that, I was like, my God, that's so fucking good.
It's my favorite Hans Zimmer score.
It's by far.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I watched Interstellar on Saturday night again. I haven't watched it in like 2 years.
Call me next time you do it. I'll be here.
On my system, I mean, literally, I had to keep turning the volume down because there is so much low end in that soundtrack. Yeah. But I will argue to this very day, I think that's probably Christopher Nolan's best movie.
It is.
I agree.
By far.
It is a great film.
Everything about it is there. We've riffed on this for so many times, and I'm sorry, listening audience. It's such an important movie.
All two of you.
Yeah, it's such an important movie for me, and the soundtrack is just as important.
I managed to see it, I think, 5 times at the Henry Ford, and I only saw it at the Henry Ford in 70mm. I couldn't imagine seeing it any other way. It's just such a overwhelming sensory experience, especially from a visual standpoint and from a sonic standpoint. I mean, it's one of the loudest movies.
Yeah,
you can listen to.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's truly one of those films again where you watch it, and every damn time it just blows my mind. Every time I watch it, I always see something new. I'm like, holy crap, I didn't see that last time.
I love how much of it's done practically too. Like the whole Tesseract sequence was done with rear projections. Like they created CGI effects and rear projected them onto these wall ribbons, and it's just extraordinary.
Yeah, well, I think pretty soon we need to do a Nolan episode. So
we really do.
Let's not kill it.
Yeah, let's not do that. But I got to sit down and listen to that soundtrack. I'm really excited for that. Maybe one night I'll bring that over. Let you guys check it out too. I thought about it today when you started showing me your wares, Andrew. I'm like, why didn't I grab that on the way out to show you guys? So sorry about that. But all right, we got a very important show. Why are we doing this?
It's just, you know what?
I was not 100% into this idea. I won't lie, but I'm here. I'm not being negative. But,
I think it's good to change it up.
No, you're right.
And we've done a lot of directors. We haven't really done a deep dive into any real actors yet.
Then why we start with this one then?
Because it's topical. He's got a new movie out this week, and I think his career is very kind of interesting actually, to go from these like pop culture phenomenon movies like Fast Times at Ridgemont High to this week's release of Mom and Dad. Mm-hmm. I mean, this guy has run the gamut of like being a support player to being a major contender in Hollywood to
he's won an Academy Award.
He's got an Academy Award, and then everything went Disney for a little bit, and then the tax problems started, and his career basically slid off the rails, and then he got into a little bit of supporting roles again, and now it seems like he's trying in making a little headway towards becoming a not really like a B player, but more like he's taking these lead roles on again that are a little more cult cinema. Is that what we call them?
A little more B movie oriented, but with an edge that's interesting.
Guess who we're talking about? Go ahead, Andrew.
Bet you'll never guess.
Yeah, we're talking about Nicolas Cage, which obviously you'll see the banner and shit on the podcast. So
Yeah, so this isn't going to be any surprise.
Yeah, so this won't be any surprise to you.
Now,
but
go ahead, Chris.
I think it is a very interesting thing that's happened with this guy because he did kind of hit the height of Hollywood stardom. And I mean, he was loaded at one point, and now he isn't anymore. He's not. I mean, I'm sure he's got some money, but you know, in like 2007, 2009, he hit a roadblock where he owed like millions and millions of dollars in taxes and found out that the person that was working for him was not setting aside the money to pay for stuff.
Yeah.
And he ended up, Nicolas Cage lost everything. Like he had a mansion in Vegas that was estimated about $10 million.
Yeah.
And he sold it. He sold it to try and make good on the back taxes he owed. He had numerous other properties. I read like in one area he had 3 homes in the tropics and he sold them all. Like he basically sold everything to try and make good on getting these taxes paid up because they were coming after him hard.
Yeah.
You know, this could have been like a Wesley Snipes thing where he ended up in prison
For tax evasion.
Yeah.
for tax evasion. Now, I don't really know if the whole thing was his fault or not, or if it was this person that worked for him that just was not paying everything and was possibly embezzling money. But I just thought it was kind of interesting because Mom and Dad came out and there's a lot of hype around this movie. And now the guy that directed Beyond the Black Rainbow, Cosmatos, has a new movie coming out called Mandy that Nicolas Cage is starring in too.
Okay.
So he's got some really interesting stuff happening.
Let's start with Mom and Dad and work our way back. Is that cool?
Yeah. I mean, because we're not going to cover, I mean, he's been in like 91 movies or something.
And I mean, and here's the thing with me, at least from my standpoint, I was going through my, preparing for this thing yesterday, and I'll be totally honest, I haven't seen a lot of his films. I really haven't. And I'll tell you why. Nicolas Cage bothered the shit out of me, especially in the 90s, right? It just, everything he seemed to be in just was stuff that would just hit the wrong chord for me, and I just didn't want to give it any time, right?
Well, he quickly became a caricature of himself.
Yeah.
Very, very quickly. He started doing the same things over and over and over again.
Resting on his laurels, and you're just waiting for him to go over the top and start shouting. And
he started doing the Pacino thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. We did, I know myself, I did screen Mom and Dad. Literally, I was trying to get through it tonight before the show, and it was like on my walk I was watching it.
I also finished it tonight.
I think I told you how I finished the movie. It was on the way here.
Yeah, that's okay. Whatever, you finished it.
But I did finish it. I want to watch it again. Because, I mean, I was kind of like, I really want to sit down and watch it and pay attention to. I mean, I was paying attention, but when you're out walking and you're driving, I think it's hard to like really pay attention to everything. But I did get the gist of it. It's a fucking wild movie.
It's a
wild movie, man.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
Little nihilistic, but that was part of the fun.
Yeah.
And I like that they didn't really explain why the phenomenon was happening. They kept you in the dark about it.
Yeah. Nicolas Cage, he delivers in his usual
demeanor.
Yeah. To his credit, to get things rolling,
I liked how he destroyed the pool table.
Yeah.
That was cool. But he looks good. I think he looks, I mean, I know he's in a film, but I mean, he don't look haggard, at least as a person. I mean, maybe I shouldn't be judging it from a film itself. But compared to the last thing I actually saw, the last film I saw Nicolas Cage in, honestly, was the video that was shot of him out in front of a casino, I think, somewhere, with Tommy Lee. No, not Tommy Lee, on fucking Motley Crue singer.
Vince Neil.
He's
a cock knocker.
Them both pissed drunk out of their minds.
Yeah.
And Nicolas Cage literally being Nicolas Cage, like the same dramatic. Stop it, Vince, stop it! You have to stop. And I'm like, that's the last film I saw Nicolas Cage in, and that was a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
some TMZ bullshit, right? So, but I mean, thinking like going.
I'm sorry.
What?
Keep going.
No, go ahead.
I was just thinking of a name for the podcast, and I have it. It's so good.
But just going on that. Oh, Jesus.
Episode 71, Uncaged.
Cage-tastic.
That's good. Use it. But I mean, just going on that thought, like that thread, like, oh my God, this guy's on his way to hell. I mean, he's just partying himself half to death, right? But going on what you're saying, I mean, yeah, it does look like he may be getting active again, and that's good, because I do think, go ahead.
No, I'm listening.
Well, regardless of what my feelings are towards Nick Cage as far as an actor, and me avoiding, a lot of his films, I do think he's somebody, you know who he is when he's coming. You see the name, you see the face. He's very recognizable. He is a very unique person. He's a very unique actor, right? So that lends a lot of credit to the guy.
Even in Zandali, which is this lesser known movie, pretty ridiculous movie that he was in. First time you see him on screen, he's in shadow, he's silhouetted, and he starts swishing his long hair around like a rock star, and you already know without even seeing his face that that's Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. It's something about the guy. I don't know what it is.
Well, look at this friggin' picture you have here in the studio.
I know. Not the bees. But he's, like I said, he has become a character of himself.
Yeah.
But it's still just very interesting to me to see somebody like attempt to make that comeback. Somebody that's been like literally through the dregs of, I mean, like the last few years, I had to review some movies that we were given by PR companies, and I'd get them, and it would say starring Nicolas Cage, and I'm like, what? This is like a $3 million budgeted movie. For the last few years, the guy was just taking as many roles as he could possibly take. It's shocking how many movies Nicolas Cage has actually been in the last few years that never got a theatrical release, but he was just like biding his time, making that money wherever he could, even if it was through foreign entities. He may have to get himself
back in his chops again. I mean, he may have just been getting the muscles working.
But he was paying his debts off is what he was doing.
Yeah.
He had to do a little bit of drudgery, like the Left Behind movie.
Oh, God.
But he made a comeback with things like Dog Eat Dog and the movie we mentioned tonight, Mom and Dad. And just kept busy, kept on working. Remained a character actor the whole time, but didn't really go back to the superstardom that he had with his mid-90s movies.
National Treasure.
The Rock.
Well, let's talk about this whole character of himself thing, though. Why does this not work for Nicolas Cage? Because, like, let's take somebody like Christopher Walken, for example. Another very big actor, right? I think it's pretty obvious that he's kind of become especially the last 10 years, well, let's say the last 15.
Self-parody.
Yeah, it's the same idea.
Yeah.
But for Christopher Walken, we all love him.
Yeah.
I'd love it. I can watch him do anything. And I'm like, I love Christopher Walken. And he really is the same type of thing, that same character of himself.
I think the difference is, and I could be totally wrong, tell me if I'm wrong, but Christopher Walken he's never had the star power that Nicolas Cage had, like in the late 90s, early 2000s. Christopher Walken has always been more of that bit player. He's never been
quirky,
other than like King of New York and stuff like that. Christopher Walken has
Deer
always
Hunter. Come on, the Deer Hunter.
Well, yeah, but he's always been kind of like a side character, and he's never made as many movies as Nicolas Cage. There was a time there when Nicolas Cage was starring in everything. So I think it's a matter of, with Nicolas Cage, we just got so much of it, and with Christopher Walken, it's more of like, it's sparse. It's broken up. You get Christopher Walken playing that same character repeatedly, but it's not 10 times a year.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
He does a lot of low budget movies and some straight to video movies too. He's basically doing everything now.
Christopher Walken.
Christopher Walken?
Nicolas Cage.
Oh,
Nicolas
Nicolas
Cage.
Cage,
I
yeah.
was going
Well,
back
yeah.
to Nicolas Cage.
So, okay, well, that makes sense. I mean, because when you're saying that, I'm like, well, there's a lot of actors, especially nowadays, who are getting older,
Oh, yeah.
and we're looking at, it's a reflection of their career going, man, now we're looking back going, oh my God, this person just, that same delivery Christopher Walken gives. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, I can watch it all day long. But there is that personality, that look, and that feel of him. But yeah, that logic you put behind it does make sense, right? That's my thing, I think. And I mentioned this before about Nicolas Cage. In the 90s, he was in every fucking movie that came out.
Oh, yeah. There was a time, I mean, like after leaving Las Vegas, like where he was like the everything, like, oh, we're going to put him in everything, you know?
Now, one of the movies that he was in that I loved was Rumblefish. I love Rumblefish. And he doesn't play a huge role in it, but he does have, he's got some key scenes.
He's Francis Ford Coppola's nephew, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's a Coppola directed film.
Yeah.
Same with Peggy Sue Got Married, but not continue, Scott.
No, it's fine. I mean, I'm just throwing these out there, and that was the next one on my list that of movies that I've sat down and watched and really, gave time to. I love Rumblefish, and Peggy Sue Got Married. As a whole, that film is very interesting because it's a weird premise, it's a weird idea of how the movie plays out, and how it ends. Always kind of just. It ends on this real soft, like just loving note, and I'm like, you know what you just went through?
I haven't seen this movie in so long.
I don't want to spoil. Well, I guess it's not that hard.
It was
Dude,
kind of
from
the
30
other,
years old ago.
It was kind of the other Back to the Future of its day.
It really was, yeah.
Raising Arizona.
Dude,
That's the fucking. Now that's one of my.
if you're going to ask me the highlights of his career,
Fuck yeah.
it's going to be Raising Arizona,
Yeah.
The Rock and Con Air, Leaving Las Vegas. Seriously.
Raising Arizona, that character. Now that's character actor.
Let's not forget David Lynch's Wild at Heart.
Oh yeah.
Sailor and Lula.
Oh, God, I mean, see, there's so much good shit in his career.
Yeah.
Raising
Moonstruck
what? Moonstruck.
with
Yeah,
Cher.
I never saw that. Oh, I think I may have saw that, but it just was one of those ones that never really stuck with me.
Chrissy, bring me the big knife. I'm going to cut my throat.
Raising Arizona's got so many friggin' wild scenes. There's just so much. I'm gonna get little Nathan Jr. some huggies. I mean, that's you fucking can't touch that. That shit's awesome, man.
Raising Arizona, I think this was the first Coen Brothers movie, right?
Yeah,
the first
it was.
big release for them.
It was their first big release. Their first movie technically was Blood Simple, but their first big release, was Raising Arizona.
Raising Arizona, like I saw this at the theater with my mom when I was a kid, and this became for us.
It was a weird movie. It was like that weird, cool
It's a weird
man.
movie.
Yeah.
But me and my mom used to watch this movie like all the time. Every couple months.
My parents love it too.
It was
Me and my
like,
parents
let's
love
watch Raising Arizona. This is a fabulous movie. It's a fantastic movie. And this is one of those movies that you could watch today and it holds up just as well as when it came out originally.
Yeah.
But yeah, this
Some
is
bitch. John Goodman's in it.
there are
John
so
Goodman.
many people in this movie.
Some bitch. I mean, that movie is, and the thing about it, I mean, I understand the story. But there are these elements like is it the devil? I don't know. Is it the motorcycle guy?
Oh, Tex Cobb?
Yeah.
I don't know if he's the devil or not. I mean, he's evil incarnate for sure.
Yeah.
But, dude, those scenes when he's on the motorcycle.
Heavy.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's all this beautiful poetry. Like, it's such a poetic film in so many ways. When he's riding in, you're just hearing all these lines being said, and it's like, I don't know. It's just such a really cool. It's hard to put your finger on what makes that movie so. At least for me, what makes Raising Arizona such a cool movie. But Nicolas Cage, as far as his performance in that movie, some of the shit he does, he just squirrely little criminal, little dirtbag, little scumbag. You know.
And I think what's interesting about it is that he sells it. He sells it.
He sold it, dude.
He is a total just whack job, Southern crook, and he sells it. He sells being the weasel, and you actually sympathize with this guy.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, he's actually pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
I want to hang out with him and
all they want to do is
abduct some babies.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. That's what makes that story so hard. You know, it tugs you a little bit because, you know, there's that sadness of it. Then there's just that absolute diabolical element where these people are going to kidnap a child, which I can't think of. It's one of the worst things you can do as a person. I couldn't imagine that, right? But even in the midst of that, when they're caught, it's like, well, here's why, right? Here's why.
She can't have babies.
Yeah, she can't.
So they're like, these rich people have everything.
Well, yeah.
So we're going to take it.
But even, you know, they understood, though, when they caught him. They were returning the baby.
Yeah.
And it was over. Like, that life, you're done, right? But he understood. You know, and, you know, that one scene where he's like, boy, you know, something like that. I'm like, oh, fuck, man. It's a tearjerker of a film in a lot of pieces. There's areas where you're like, whoa, that's heavy, you know. But then the rest of it is just absolute insanity, hilarity, man. It's a real roller coaster ride. If you haven't seen Raising Arizona, it's one of my top films. I love that movie. As much as I don't like Nicolas Cage that much, that's one of my top films. I love that movie.
This is one of those movies that if you claim to be a fan of film or cinema, if you've never seen this movie, then you have to go watch it.
Yeah,
now.
go see it. Yeah, definitely go see it because it's a lot of fun. I don't know anybody who hasn't, and it's one of them. It's a cult film, total cult film now, and it's one of those ones where I don't. Raising Arizona is like the fucking Ramones, man. I don't know anybody who doesn't like the Ramones. Like,
right.
This was the Coens' first big hit, and they would soon make a whole career out of major hits.
Yeah,
and their work is unmistakably theirs. You know, I don't know of any influences that they're drawing from. They just are one of a kind.
Yeah, and this kind of like kicked off that entire thing for them.
Yeah, I love this movie. It's totally great. I can't say enough good things about this film. And like I said, I don't know, and that's what I was saying before. Everybody, you mentioned Raising Arizona, and everybody's like, oh, people light up. They're like, oh, dude, that movie's the shit. I love it.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody who's like, oh, I couldn't stand that flick. It was so stupid, man. No, everybody loves this movie. It's a total classic, man. We talked briefly. That was before Raising Arizona. Peggy Sue got married. We already touched on that kind of though.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris pointed this out to us yesterday. Sorry, Andrew. I didn't mean to cut you off, man. Deadfall.
Oh, man. That and Vampire's Kiss are neck and neck as far as which movie is he overacting and harder at. Because Deadfall is, man, he doesn't so much chew up the scenery as he just starts on a corner, works his way in, and then swallows the fucking scene whole. He's just so absurdly, obscenely, ridiculously over the top, like acting well past 11. There's no other way to really describe it. It just kind of has to be seen to be believed. That was when he started. I think that and Vampire's Kiss were around the time that he started becoming a self-parody in a way.
Are you Donald Trump?
I think that may have had a part in this,
yeah,
too.
I think he started doing some blow.
That too.
He had to have been. You can't be that amped up, man. You just can't. I don't know anybody that could have that kind of energy, you know, unfiltered. And they just, oh, God. Yeah, Deadfall. Oh, crap. I lost my list. Deadfall, that's one of those ones, too. Like, oh, my God. It's not a good movie. I don't really like the movie that much, but I do like... the overacting's there, but it's kind of fun to watch, to be honest with you. I get a kick out of it. It's fun.
Vampire's Kiss, where he's running around in the street, he's wearing fake vampire teeth, going, "I'm a vampire, I'm a vampire." It's a riot.
You mentioned The Rock,
That was
that was a huge hit. We all saw that in the theater.
That was after leaving Las Vegas. I think just 1 year after leaving Las Vegas.
Was it?
That was probably his biggest action movie up to that point.
Oh, yeah.
And the movie that really put Michael Bay on the map.
I mean,
Ed Harris was in The Rock, too, I remember now.
And Sean Connery.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I was down there for days. I'm at The Rock.
The Rock was fun.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it a bunch of times. I remember seeing it in the theater, and we were like, yeah, it was pretty good.
You know,
I don't know.
I think The Rock...
Losers cry. Winners go and fuck the prom queen.
I mean, the cool thing about The Rock is we really didn't get like a lot of those like type of military movies yet, you know, where they're going to set up this giant fucking missile and blow up the city. And, you know, Ed Harris was usually not really a bad guy.
No, he was
up
always...
to this point. This was kind of when he kind of flip-flopped from being, you know, the hero of the abyss to being more of, you know, he can be bad too.
Yeah.
But yeah, The Rock, oh my God. And what a huge hit that movie was too.
Not to write on Ed Harris too long, but you know, he was a bad guy in The Rock.
Yeah.
However, his delivery was still very noble. Mm-hmm. Like their whole reasoning was like, look, you know, we want to help our men, and you people aren't doing it, so we're going to force the issue now. And you know, if you don't do this, or you know, there was a noble thing behind.
It made you empathize with his plight in a way.
Yeah. I was kind of like,
It wasn't just a stereotypical villain. There was a
noble purpose behind it.
What would you do in the same situation that he was in?
I'd blow some shit up.
Yeah. Awesome.
No, but The Rock is really
movie.
It's a
Huge
great
movie.
action movie.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
And what I like about The Rock with Nicolas Cage is Nicolas Cage is not a big man. He is like your everyday kind of like 6 foot tall, 175 pound, 180 pound, just normal dude. Mm-hmm. And he gets put into a scenario in which he has to be the everyman battling against the bad guys.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of what they did with Harrison Ford in the Indiana Jones series.
Yeah.
Putting every man in the superhero shoes.
But I think Cage did a great job with that.
Mm-hmm. What about Bringing Out the Dead? Anybody seen that? Have you guys seen that?
That was years later. Yeah, that was great.
See, like I said, I'm cherry picking here. So if I'm screwing you up, I'm sorry.
No, dude. You know what? I think this is great. I think we're digging a little bit deeper than we normally do. Mm-hmm. And I kind of like this non-chronological format because usually we're just breaking down a list.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually kind of digging that
Well, I'll tell you what, Andrew, you probably had some stuff before Bringing Out the Dead. What
I was just going to say, after The Rock, he did 2 more action movies, Con Air and Face Off.
See, fuck both those movies.
That's
how I feel.
Face Off's a riot. He's just so over the top in it, and the way they switch roles, and they're trying to play off one another. 8mm, he did that right before Bringing Out the Dead.
I love 8mm.
I do too.
And you know why I love 8mm. First off, it's down and dirty. It's nasty. It kind of changed him a little bit, but it's such a throwback to the 1979 film Hardcore.
Oh, big time.
With George C. Scott in it. It's very much the same movie.
It's a spiritual remake.
Yeah, down and dirty, gritty, and it's pretty cool. Joaquin Phoenix is in this too.
Yeah, and Anthony Heald, who played Dr. Chilton in Silence of the Lambs, is one of the villains in it.
Oh.
What's his name? Peter Sarsgaard.
Yeah.
And God, who else is in that movie? There's a lot of people in that movie.
There's a lot of people
James
in that movie.
James Gandolfini.
That's right.
Too.
8mm?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he basically plays like another like kind of gangster, like down and dirty bad guy, very similar to like True Romance character.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember I saw 8mm when it first came out. I saw it at the Macomb Mall movie theater, and there weren't a lot of people there. There's like 10 or 12 people in the entire theater, and it was very like hard. That is a hard movie. Shit takes place in that movie that I think if they made that movie today, they would probably not go that deep and dirty and grotesque with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, they in some scenes they used real BDSM porn films. Like there's a scene where he's walking in like some underground video collecting ring and is watching some movie being projected, and I didn't know until after the fact that it was apparently a real porno that they put on screen.
This was the snuff film one. That's what this was
Yes.
about. See, I may have seen it a while. Again, they didn't stick with me.
It's one of Joel Schumacher's better ones, and
I should sit down and watch it.
he did this not long after.
You mean it wasn't as good as Batman and Robin?
Jesus.
It was better than The Lost Boys, which is arguably one of Schumacher's best.
Oh, dude, I love that movie.
So Bringing Out the Dead, his first movie with Martin Scorsese.
That's a weird ass movie too. Am I fired yet? No. Go to work.
It kind of has this sleepy vibe to it. Like you're not sure how much of it is real, or how much of it is being hallucinated because of his mental state and the way it's presented visually. Great soundtrack and a really daring performance by him.
I don't think it's one of Scorsese's best films, though.
And compared to how many he's done, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what I'd call a bad Scorsese movie. I don't know of any.
Bringing Out the Dead.
Really?
No.
Well, if I have to compare this to The Aviator, Goodfellas,
Well, of course.
you know, The Departed, those like
I think you're talking about films. Those are all epic films, man.
Marty can't make a bad movie, but this one does not live up to the rest.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Because I remember watching this going like, fucking Goodfellas? What the fuck happened, dude?
Yeah.
You suck now?
Gone in 60 Seconds
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Memphis Reigns.
with Angelina Jolie.
Tone, what's his
Bruckheimer
name?
movie.
Vinnie Jones is in this movie too. A guy played. He plays Sphinx. I like Vinnie Jones. He was really picking up after Snatch. I think he was
Watch your language, mister.
he did Snatch, and I think he was starting to get some roles, but I really haven't heard much from Vinnie Jones. He played the friggin' in Snatch. He was hard guy.
Yeah.
I don't know what you call him. Bonjour. I
Yes.
love that shit. But I mean, yeah, I like Vinny. But he has no lines, and they call him Sphinx for a reason. He doesn't say anything, so there wasn't much of a stretch for him. But Nicolas Cage, I mean, he jammed this movie. I mean, this is an example of a film with Nicolas Cage. As soon as I saw the preview for it, I'm like, oh god,
It's Nicolas
It just
Cage.
isn't my. No, it just the film itself just isn't my thing, man. I just the whole testosterone fuel car chase shit. I mean, Fast and the Furious is stuff that just I laugh at that. Those are just like the most ridiculous things.
Gone in 60 seconds. It's a passive watch. It's dumb viewing. It's sitting there
It's a
watching.
check your brain at the door movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
but there are some fun. I mean, as far as his delivery, there's some great scenes where I cracked up laughing. I mean, he really, he damaged that one car, and they're like, it's damaged, and he's like, what? He just kind of throws his arms up, and I just kind of loved how he just kind of just sold that part. Like, it's not that bad. Come on, I mean, after what you just watched him do with that car, right?
we didn't really touch on Leaving Las Vegas that much,
We should
though.
talk about it.
It's a heavy one.
It is a heavy one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can instantly feel the weight just mentioning the name of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It is a fabulous film, though. And, I've never been an addict by any means, but watching that movie and watching him act in that movie, it scares you.
Mm-hmm.
It actually does scare you because he throws himself so hard and so far into that role that you do sympathize with the character and you understand the pain of that just grotesque amount of alcoholism.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine drinking like that. It scares me. It does scare me.
It's scary. Yeah. You got me bummed out now. I'm like, oh my god.
I'm sorry.
No.
I'm so sorry. Oh
Great
my
film
God.
though. Great film.
He directed a movie with James Franco called Sunny in 2002.
Oh, I saw that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't that bad. It was not that bad. Read me the premise.
Let's see here. An honorably discharged soldier returns home to New Orleans, hoping to break away from his upbringing as a trained prostitute. But his brothel madame mother has other expectations.
Sure, this isn't a story about Chris.
It is. It's my life. It's my life story.
Nina Savory and Harry Dean Stanton are in it. Nicolas Cage has a small part in it also, but yeah, he directed it. Then he probably did his most chameleonic performance to date with Adaptation, where he played Charlie Kaufman and Donald Kaufman in the Spike Jonze directed adaptation of Charlie Kaufman's screenplay. Probably the strangest movie he's done since Wild at Heart. Do you remember Adaptation?
Yes, I do.
And he's got like this kind of a curly, blown out perm, and he's really oversized. I think he even put on some additional weight for the role, and it is the least like his other movies. It's the least likely Nicolas Cage movie.
Tilda Swinton, Meryl Streep, Chris Cooper. Holy shit. This movie got a lot of awards too, didn't it?
Chris Cooper won the Best Supporting Actor award.
That's what I thought. Oh, Spike Jonze directed this one. I probably have not seen it though since it was out.
It's definitely a surreal one. All of Charlie Kaufman's stuff is. One of those where he doesn't disappear. He doesn't do the Cage thing. He is fully immersed in this character. He's given total control to the director in this particular film.
Can we talk about that? We haven't mentioned The Wicker Man.
That's not the bees.
Not the bees!
How to get burned? How to get burned? How to get burned? Step away from the bike.
You know, The Wicker Man is one of those horror movies. Obviously, it's a remake, correct?
Yes, the original is a great horror movie.
Yeah, I went into The Wicker Man thinking I'm not going to hate this movie as much as everybody else. I'm going to force myself to like this. And it's really bad. It's really, really bad because he is doing the caricature thing in this movie. But yeah, that whole scene at the end just is...
He's beyond over the top in it.
Beyond. Well beyond. But
the last thing I saw Nicolas Cage do, and the only reason I watched it was because of an ex-girlfriend, was National Treasure, which at the time it was topical for me because I was really into a lot of conspiracy theories and stuff like that at that point in my life. So I did get drawn into the movie because it was like the History Channel on steroids, basically. That's how I can equate that movie to. I mean, lots of action, of course. Didn't stick with me, though. I mean, I can't really remember all the stuff that happened. It was just like one thing after another. Like, this is the reason this happened. This is the reason that happened. This is the reason this happened.
It was kind of like an Indiana Jones sort of archaeological adventure film. And
yeah, same. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that same.
John Voight was in those.
Right before that, he did Matchstick Men with Ridley Scott.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that. Now, we all know how we kind of feel about Ridley Scott at this point. Like, just retire, fuck off. You know, you're done.
Give the guy a break.
I've heard
Fuck
all
that guy.
I've heard all
Give
the
him a
money in the
break.
world is good, though.
What's that?
I've heard all the money in the world is good.
Yeah, I've heard mixed reviews on that. But Matchstick Men, I think really is Ridley Scott's last great drama. And it's got Sam Rockwell in it. Just fuck me. Seriously, fuck me. If Sam Rockwell is in the movie, the man does not pick a bad script. He only makes great movies. I've never seen a bad movie with Sam Rockwell in it. Never.
Maybe Choke.
Yeah, I guess that was kind of shitty. But still, it wasn't bad by any means, you know. He just takes and runs with everything. But yeah, Matchstick Men, that was a really, really good flick. And I remember, like, when I saw that movie, I watched it like 3 or 4 times because I was that impressed in the interplay between Cage in Rockwell was really, really great too.
Yeah.
So,
Lord of War.
Never saw it.
dude, have you ever seen it?
I've seen bits and pieces, not all the way through. I know it's directed by Andrew Nicole of Gattaca, and he wrote The Truman Show.
This movie is basically about arms dealing, and it's actually really, really good. It stars Nicolas Cage and Jared Leto.
Ethan Hawke.
Really?
Yeah, and Leto is really, really good in this one too. But yeah, if you've not seen Lord of War, if I suggest a Nicolas Cage movie, this would be one that I would definitely say you should see.
Really?
Yeah, because everybody I know that's seen this movie actually likes it. I've never heard anybody badmouth Lord of War at all. Nicolas Cage.
The Weatherman, the Gore Verbinski film with Michael Caine, that was a little different role for him.
I've never seen this one.
It was a least likely Gore Verbinski movie. This was like just around the time he had done The Ring and the Pirates of the Caribbean movie. So it was a bit of an outlier for him. Looks like he did some voice acting in some movies also.
The bear!
The Ant Bully. Let's see what else we got here. Ghost Rider.
Oh, yeah. That movie, actually, the original one, had a really good soundtrack.
Yeah, it had a good soundtrack.
Helmet Rollins Band was on there. Some really cool stuff.
But the movie
wasn't very good, though.
The Ghost Rider movie was like before the whole big comic book movie push happened.
Yeah.
These Ghost Rider movies are fucking horrendous. I saw the first one in the theater and it was not impressive in the slightest. There's one that we didn't really talk about earlier, and it is one that I would suggest. It's called Red Rock West. Have you guys ever seen this movie?
No.
It's very, very good. It's a crime drama, and it stars Nicolas Cage, Dennis Hopper, and Lara Flynn Boyle.
Oh, you know what? I saw like a picture of that when I was researching. I saw Dennis Hopper in the shot. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, this is actually a very good movie. There's some great plot twists in it.
Yeah.
And this is prior to his whole Nicolas Cage is playing Nicolas Cage kind of thing. It's a really, really good kind of dry Southern crime movie. We actually watched this in my film class because my professor loved this film. He had seen it and fell in love with it, and then we actually watched it a couple times in class.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, it's a definite suggested viewing. 100%, y'all.
Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans.
Oh, God.
Now, okay, I did not see that. I could give zero fucks about the movie, to be honest with you. But that is a sequel.
It's a remake of Bad Lieutenant, the Abel Ferrara film, and it's like a snarky comedy. Werner Herzog directed.
So it's a remake of the original one, but with a different story?
It's similar, but it's the aims of the movies are different. The Herzog remake is more of a snarky comedy. The original with Harvey Keitel, he was a really
it's dark as hell.
It's dark as hell. He's a bad fucking lieutenant.
Yeah.
And deals with sin and redemption. There's a lot of religious overtones in it. And that's in most of Abel Ferrara's work. But in this film, it's more sort of Herzogian quirkiness. Like, there's a point in it where he even references one of his own movies, Strozek, where Nicolas Cage says his soul's still dancing, and they play the same music that ends Strozek with these with these guys doing breakdancing and a lot of iguanas, a lot of lizards. It's a strange one, but it's that was one where a lot of people were comparing the casting of Nicolas Cage in the movie to how Herzog kept casting Klaus Kinski in his movies. Like, it wasn't so much about the guy's subtlety and nuance. It was about how over the top is this guy going to go?
Yeah.
And how far is he going to take the scene chewing? Is it going to achieve a level of transcendence? and that's kind of what they were going for with Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans. It's not everyone's favorite. I think it's hilarious myself.
Yeah.
I just remember in that movie there was some really weird shit with a lizard.
That's what
When
we're
he
just
was-
talking
saying-
about.
Yeah, when he was tripping balls. Okay, sorry, I had to get up and urinate and get a beer. So
How many beers have you had? You drunk?
6
Tonight?
in the last half hour.
Oh, wow.
No, this
Doing
is
better than I would be.
No, this is number 3.
We had the one episode where I was drinking on there, and I was a total bumbling, stumbling, nervous mess the whole way through. It was great.
It's my birthday. My birthday sucked my butthole.
Yeah, I was.
So-
I meant to. Sorry, Andrew. I'm going to cut you off, but I meant to mention that it is Christopher's birthday today.
Fuck my
Happy
birthday.
Mr. President.
Nobody sent me hookers.
Happy birthday to you.
I'm hard. Shut up.
Let's talk about knowing.
We made Chris hard.
Knowing.
Oh man, I know I've seen this.
Alex Proyas movie before he made Gods of Egypt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alex Proyas' last. Well, some people aren't fans of it, but others think it's his last great movie. But
Knowing.
take it away, Chris.
Knowing was just this weird movie about this dude that like could see the future, right? And catastrophes and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty fucking terrible.
Really?
I did not enjoy this movie at all.
'Cause Blake loves it.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, then he doesn't know what a good movie is.
Yeah.
That movie has come up on this show before. I think. I don't think I've honestly seen it, but I think it's been brought up here before.
Yeah, it's not that bad. It just kind of it fell into that like
Who knows?
it fell into that like mid 2000 like 2000 to 2010 kind of like the bad like sci-fi they were just trying to push out there.
Yeah.
About the end of the world and bad things happening. It kind of just it sucked up too many of the tropes into one movie.
Okay.
And it just kind of fell apart for me. So
All right.
He was in Kick-Ass, which you have a poster of in the theater.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that he was in. I saw Kick-Ass now, and then again another one of those ones that didn't stick with me. What the hell did he do in that movie?
he played Big Daddy. Big
was that?
Daddy. He was Hit Girl's dad. Big Daddy.
Oh, okay, now I remember.
And he kind of looks like Batman, and he
Yeah.
was supposed to be the original real life superhero.
All right.
The first one to take up the mantle of he was going to go in public and kill the fuck out of the bad guys.
All right. Yeah.
But he was highly trained, and he had lots of kick-ass weapons. And actually, Nicolas Cage was pretty effing good in this role. I thought there was a pretty good interplay between him and Chloe Grace Moretz. I actually watched Kick-Ass 2 again the other night. And he gets brought up quite a bit in that movie.
Yeah.
But Cage was not bad in that role, but I think there's a reason for that. He's very limited in that movie. He's not in it for very long, so they kind of just didn't give him too much room to do the caricature thing.
Yeah.
So
All right.
Then he started doing a lot of dumping ground movies like Bangkok Dangerous. I don't think that did well. Season of the Witch, not to be confused with the really, really bad George A. Romero movie. And Drive Angry, which I never saw.
I never saw that. Wait. No, I never saw Drive Angry.
Drive Angry has him and Amber Heard in it. It's a fun movie, but it's not good by any means. Now, the worst movie that I think he's ever been in, and it was actually one of the first movies I ever reviewed for the Movie Sleuth when I first started the site all by my lonesome decades ago. No, years ago.
Back in 1847.
Big in 1942. It was a
let's
movie
have
called Trespass that starred Nicolas Cage and Nicole Kidman, and this was like a downturn area for her too, because she was absolutely fucking horrible in this movie.
This was another Joel Schumacher movie. And
This movie, literally, I would not wish Trespass on my worst enemy. This movie is fucking horrendous. I think I gave it like a 1 or a 2, something like that on the site.
these are the same guys that collaborated on 8mm. What happened?
I don't know what happened, but Ben Mendelsohn's in this movie too.
Yeah.
But yeah, not the best of Cage at all. And this was part of the downturn era for him also.
He did that David Gordon Green movie Joe, where he's sporting a beard in it,
Yeah.
and it's like a coming of age sort of crime drama, I think.
The Frozen Ground, starring him and John Cusack, was not that bad. That was like a straight to video type thing.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool seeing John Cusack and Nicolas Cage on screen playing against each other, because Cusack now is doing the exact same thing as Cage. He's doing all straight to video stuff, and I'm not sure what happened with Cusack, but Hollywood has kind of shut him out.
Well, he's kind of a prima donna. Like, he'll do a movie and then turn around and say, that was total garbage. I'm never working with you again, blah, blah, blah. Like, Better Off Dead, he was like saying, you made me do the worst movie of my career. You ended my career, blah, blah, blah.
Better Off Dead?
Better Off Dead is the best fucking movie of his career. He can suck my fucking dick.
Yeah. I'm just saying, I think that's why he's been ousted from Hollywood, is because he can't keep his trap shut.
Yeah, shut up.
Yeah, because he was doing some cool stuff in the mid 2000s, But we should do a podcast on John Cusack
Another time,
dude. I could talk about Better Off Dead.
I love that movie.
We could do a 3-hour episode on Better Off Dead.
Yeah.
I love that movie. I love it. We'll do, for later.
Having met Curtis Armstrong too, I can say a lot about Charles DeMar. I'm going to say the lowest point of Nicolas Cage's career came in the form of the remake of the Kirk Cameron movie Left Behind. That is the bottom of the barrel for Cage. It's depressing trying to watch that movie, because even him doing the Cage-tastic shtick, you can tell he's not happy being in that movie. Like, he just wants out of it. It's bad. It's so bad. Like, depressingly bad. Not watch it and laugh bad like Deadfall or Zandali, like depressingly bad.
All right, so that's his lowest point, and here we are in 2017.
What's his highest point? Do we think that it's Leaving Las Vegas? Do we think that was the
pinnacle?
The
You
pinnacle?
mean artistically or monetarily?
I'm taking artistically. I don't care about money. I mean, I care about money, but with this guy,
Me, it was Raising Arizona.
Yeah.
I think that was his absolute. I mean, I know it was early in his career too, but I mean, I don't. And again, I mean, I'll be totally honest in saying I have not seen a lot of his films, but what I have seen, which I think is a pretty good population, that role is just timeless to me.
Wild at Heart for me. Sailor Ripley, I think is his name.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my top Nicolas Cage role. He also, one thing we didn't talk about with Nicolas Cage is he actually produced a lot of movies too, and like not so much directing, but he produced that Shadow of the Vampire film with Willem Dafoe and John Malkovich.
That was a phenomenal movie.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
He produced that?
He did, with his company Saturn Films.
How far out?
What an original name he came up with.
Unfortunately, that same production company also produced The Wicker Man, so whatever credibility his company had, he just flushed it down the toilet with one movie. But anyway.
But Mom and Dad, and I mean, that's where he's at now, looking forward. I don't want to end this thing on a
Dog Eat Dog. What about Dog Eat Dog?
I don't remember that. Jesus.
Paul Schrader film with Willem Dafoe.
Dog Eat Dog is a really good movie. It's him, Willem Dafoe, and then it was who else was in it?
Christopher Matthew, Omar Dorsey.
But there was a third, because remember the team, there were 3 of them that were in the. Oh yeah, it was Christopher Dorsey, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. But the main 2 actors were
Christopher Matthew Cook. Was the third in their little trio of criminals.
Mm-hmm.
It's a heist movie, but it's down and dirty, and it feels like a Paul Schrader movie.
Mm-hmm. Well, they did that one. They disowned that Dying in the Light movie. It was basically taken away from them, and I think they wanted to work together again to try and. Schrader and Cage, I think, wanted to work together again to make a movie that they both approved of, because they disowned Dying in the Light. In fact, I think Paul Schrader recut it into a new film called Dark, which is available at a university. It's not commercially available. You can only watch it in a library archive. It's the only way you can see it.
That's dumb.
Yeah, no shit.
It's a rights issues thing. They don't own the rights to the footage. So
Well-
he was in Snowden, his second Oliver
Oh,
Stone
yeah.
movie.
Yeah, he played like a side role in Snowden. Which I remember when we saw that at the theater, we were kind of like shocked, like, oh, Nicolas Cage is in this? Oh, and he's not like in a starring role. I remember he was like talking to Snowden like on the side. Like he was a very, very limited character, but he was good in that movie.
Yeah.
He was good in that movie. So, I don't know. Do we think this guy's actually going to see a comeback, or do we think it's just going to be more of what he's doing right now?
I think more of what he's doing right now, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine. I mean, he's doing what he wants. He's keeping busy. He's not embroiled in any of these stupid Hollywood scandals.
Yeah, that's surprising.
He
That's surprising.
I just say keep on trucking, Nick. Keep doing what you do.
Yeah, I mean, despite my feelings of the guy, I do think he's a great actor. Yeah, he's had his times where, he was a little over the top, I think.
Is there any other over-the-top actor quite like him?
No.
I can't think of any.
No.
No, I think he's got a lockdown on doing what he does. Well, him and Pacino.
Yeah. But I think, as I said in the beginning of this segment, there's no one like Nicolas Cage. There really isn't. He's such a unique person on the stage, and I imagine he's a very unique person off the stage, too. No one looks like him, no one sounds like him, and no one definitely acts like him.
No.
Well, I know at one point Francis Ford Coppola basically disowned him and said, I don't want anything to do with this guy anymore. But who wants anything to do with Francis Ford Coppola anymore
For that
either?
matter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck him.
Yeah. Well, Jack.
Yeah. Oh, God. Career in shambles.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's call it a night.
I think we're going to call it a night. We've talked enough about Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, we pounded him in the butt real good.
Yeah, he liked it, though.
Yeah, he
How'd I
loved
get
it.
burned? How'd I get burned? How'd I get burned? How'd I get burned?
Not the anal. No. Anal. All right, we're out. Bye.
Visit us at www.themoviesleuth.com and find The Movie Sleuth on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and iTunes.